Hey there, welcome to Sumit Academy. I do hope that you have subscribed to my channel. No? Then please do press the subscribe button now. We now begin a new series on the art of essay writing. A word of caution here. Essay writing cannot be taught instantly. My videos will slowly build up the concept of essay writing in your mind. Bear with me during my videos on essay writing, and I assure you that we shall have a very confident you by the end of our series. How much to write, what to write, in what order to pen down your thoughts, or even which topic to select above others. These are questions that keep giving sleepless nights to many competitive exam candidates. Well, let's jump into the fray and try to develop an understanding on the art of crafting an essay. I will try to impart a lesson on how to craft a first class essay from start to finish. I will be speaking on organizing your time, researching, reading, and then writing effectively. I will be speaking on polishing your writing styles and finding your own voice. And finally, we shall be learning how to master the skills needed to tackle any essay title effectively. For all of this, we shall start with understanding the concept of an essay, the types and forms of essay, move on to the technical part of essay writing, exploring the grammatical pitfalls and how to avoid them. On to writing an effective introduction, main body, and conclusion. And finally, how to handle essay in an examination environment. Now, what is an essay? It is a literary composition, well organized, governed by a broad controlling idea on a subject. Essays belong to a literary species whose extreme variability can be studied most effectively within a three-poled frame of reference. Now, these three poles or worlds in which the essay may exist are first, the personal and the autobiographical. The essayists that feel most comfortable in this pole write fragments of reflective autobiography and look at the world through the keyhole of anecdote and description. Let us see some examples of this type in the slide. The second frame of reference is the objective, the factual, and the concrete particular. The essayists that write from this pole do not speak directly of themselves, but turn their attention outward to some literary or scientific or political theme. Their art consists of setting forth, passing judgment upon, and drawing general conclusions from the relevant data. Now, the next slide will give you some examples. The third pole of reference is the abstract universal. In this pole, we find those essayists who do their work in the world of high abstractions, who are never personal and who seldom mention the particular facts of experience. As usual, let us see some examples of this type in the next slide. The most satisfying essays make the best not of one, not of two, but of all the three worlds in which it is possible for the essay to exist. In the examination, you are expected to know what you are talking about. Occasionally, you may be asked to write from personal experience, and you would be using facts, figures, theories, and ideas that you may have got from various sources. Clearly, this is one aspect of academic writing, that is research, where you have to gather information through wide ranging reading, thought, and discussion. Radio and television programs with discussions and viewpoints are a great help to widen your intellectual grasp. However, whatever you know on a subject is expected to be dexterously and skillfully organized and presented. The point or thesis of the essay should be clear to the reader. Let us summarize these points in the next slide. When you are writing an academic essay, you don't let your imagination run wild and compose stories unless it demands creative writing. Control is the name of the game. You write to a strict structure and do not deviate. A kind of formula exists in the way you tackle the introduction and conclusion. What goes in between, that is, the body of the essay, can follow several different patterns and is composed of paragraphs that fit in a particular shape. Creativity lies not in flights of imagination but in deep understanding of previous research and interpreting this in your own way. You may express your opinions, but only in the context of the topic and what you have read. This genre is like a straitjacket to restrain you from veering off the topic. A lot of decisions are already made for you, and you just fit in with everything as you play by the rules. Now, most important, before we get into the nitty-gritties of composing an essay, let us see as to how an essay is different from a newspaper article. Another type of writing is journalism, where you are asked to sensationalize issues. You need to avoid using the features of this kind of writing. A newspaper article is not an academic essay, and you need to separate the two clearly in your mind. This is more important as most candidates have prepared for the essay paper from reading newspaper articles, especially the viewpoints on the center page. The academic essay and newspaper articles differ vastly in their structure. A newspaper article packs as much key information in the headline and the first paragraph as possible. Why? Because they have to catch the reader's attention. To get the reader to continue reading the article, the first paragraph in a newspaper has to contain the essentials and pack a punch. Less important information can be in paragraphs further down because not everybody reads this far, and often the article ends without any kind of summing up or conclusion. In the academic essay, on the other hand, you do not have to grab your examiner's attention from the first line itself. The introduction to the essay sets the scene and analyzes the question you are going to answer. You don't give away the key information in the first paragraph, but divulge that information in a controlled manner. You have to ensure that every bit of your essay, every paragraph contains relevant and meaningful matter, thus building up your argument in a logical and structured way. When you arrive at the conclusion, you provide some sort of answer to the issue raised in the introduction. And you should, to a greater extent, generate a feeling of resolution, of completeness. Style is another factor. In a newspaper article, given the brief amount of time a journalist has to write it, sentences are often short and uncomplicated in structure. Paragraphs are short and language is very straightforward. In the academic style, on the other hand, you have time to deliberate over sentence structure, often resulting in longer and complex sentences. In journalism, the language describing an event or a person sometimes appeals to the emotions because the reporter may be trying to provoke an emotional response in the reader. The writing may have a subjective slant or attempt to influence the reader in some way. Academic writing, in contrast, attempts always to be objective and has what we may consider an impersonal or distant tone because to a large extent it avoids subjectivity. Now, this is reflected in the restricted use of the first person pronouns I or we. That is, we are not supposed to use the personal pronouns I or we in our formal essays. And what we should do, we should have a greater use of passive forms such as it can be seen that or it is observed. So let's revise these particular things in the following slides. In keeping with this traditional objectivity, an academic essay takes as its basis the work of researchers and experts who have added to the vast ocean of knowledge over the years. You refer to authors through referencing and acknowledging sources. You are respectful to your sources and you are not arrogant in your argument. Your examiner looks at the way in which you use your sources, how many you use, and the accuracy with which you use your references. He assesses you on how skillfully you weave your quotations and references into your argument. Well, so much for introducing the concept of essay writing and the vital difference between a newspaper article and an academic essay. In our next video, the second in our essay writing series, we shall study the different stages of preparing for our essay, like analyzing the title, time management, planning the essay structure, composing the essay, checking and polishing our essay, and finally, as to how to prepare for writing a successful essay. I do hope that you have subscribed to my channel. Do subscribe now so that you don't miss out on my future videos. In case you wish to give a feedback or suggest future videos, do write in to sumitacademy20@gmail.com. Till later then, cheers.